All right. So how are you guys doing with your beat matching and stuff?
Was yesterday, like I said, I was practicing it. I'm getting it down.
Good.
Just gotta keep on working on it.
Cool. And you said you were working on your cues and stuff, right, Keto?
Yeah.
Nice. All right, check it out. So this is what I want to kind of go over today. Um, when you transition, I mean, I'm sure you guys are already familiar since you guys already spent some time DJing, but just what we're going to go over kind of like the little specifics of using effects, using the EQ, um, using filters, not just the faders. You know what I'm saying? So when you mix, let's get two tracks.
Bring your back in shape. Hey, bring your back in shape. Hey.
Okay. So are you guys familiar with like the low frequencies and the mid frequencies and highs? Okay, yeah, we went over that a little bit, right? I'm gonna just go over it a little bit more for the stream. But this low end here, the low knob is what controls the low end frequencies, which is mainly the bass. That's what you feel mainly in the club. This is what really kind of moves the crowd. It's what drives them to dance, kind of like based on the bass rhythm, it can kind of determine the way they move. So it mainly like with Latin tracks, the bass rhythm is how you do your steps and stuff like that. So it's a very important part when you're mixing, because depending on which track of the two that you have the bass on is kind of what's gonna drive the transition. You know what I'm saying? The mid is where most of the meat and like the vocals and the pianos, the guitars, all that stuff. That's where mainly all that lives. So when you really want to kind of fade out the volume, but without actually messing with the faders, you can mess with the mid a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of the main meat of the song is in there, and the highs. It's just the other part of the track that's like the hi hats, the high frequencies, the high leads and stuff like that. And this kind of really gives the track like the clarity and stuff. So
Bring your back in shape. Hey.
I put down the bass. So now we hear like the claps. You still feel the rhythm, but you don't feel any of the kicks here. See how most of with the mids, most of the vocals like get muffled. And then with the highs, sounds like you're outside of the club, and the filter is basically like a combination of the low and the high. So if you turn it to the right, it like slowly cuts out all the lows and the mids. And then turning it the other way, it's cutting out the highs and the mids. So it's like a combination of all of them. So just so you guys understand, like at least which knob kind of mainly does what. So when you're transitioning, and you're like, okay, I want to cut the highs out or something, then you know where to go for it. So we'll read this really quick. EQ, otherwise called equalization. EQ refers to the tone controls on your mixer that we first met in the Mixer Basics chapter, and then again in the baseline swap beat mix previous chapter. Okay, usually you have three for each channel of the mixer that allow you to boost or cut the bass, mid-range, and treble parts of the sound of. Are you signed in? Oh, okay. Where are we at? Sorry. Treble parts of the sound of whatever you have running through that channel. It's always better to cut than to add. So yeah, that's also true. So whenever you have a song playing, it's best to keep everything at 12 o'clock, and then you cut out. You can add like some mid, you could turn it up a little bit or something if this, but that's only in a situation like if you have an old record or something you downloaded from YouTube or something like that that doesn't have like, it's just low quality. You can try and adjust it, but for the most part you want to stay away from playing records like that anyway. um you can tell the difference, when at least, I mean, I feel like, and the people, they won't know exactly what it is about the DJ, but they'll just say like, oh, that DJ is whack, and sometimes it's because they're just playing low quality files, and you don't want that. So if you have to download from YouTube or rip it or something like that, sure, because you can't find it anywhere else, and then that's when you'd add some EQ. But for the most part, try to get your music from um, a DJ pool or just buy it on iTunes. Especially when you're doing stuff for a private event or a wedding or a quince or something like that. Usually when they're doing their special dances, it could be a record that you don't really know or you're not familiar with, but you don't want to risk it by downloading a YouTube track and then there's like some kind of like tag from another DJ, or you know what I mean. So just like, they're paying you, or they're gonna be paying you, so like take $5 to buy the songs on iTunes if you don't already have them. You know what I mean? And then that way they're going to be nice, good quality. Um, so yeah. So, but for the most part, it's better to cut than to add. Um, Compensating by raising the overall track volume using the gain control. They will turn from 7 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and their flat setting will be at 12 o'clock, where there'll usually be a little click to let you know that they're set to neutral. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it works on the mixer. So the reasons why you want to use EQ, to EQ the track. Yeah, so that's what we were just talking about. Different tracks sound different to each other. Maybe your track sounds a little bit dull or it's too boomy. For the most part, nowadays, everything sounds pretty good. But, back in the day, they were recording on cassette players or, 8-inch recorders, 8 tracks or whatever. So there was always different sound. And so a DJ might want to adjust it to his liking and stuff. Something that I do, and this is just like a preference thing. Like I always like to kind of boost my high a little bit. That just to me gives it a little more clarity, kind of cuts a little bit through. So those are things that you can do, but for the most part, you can set it to the middle. We don't need to read that. Okay, to EQ the transition. When you're transitioning from one track to the next, EQ can be used to introduce and swap elements of both the incoming track and the outgoing one, at which point you choose. A classic using in beat mixing is the baseline swap. Yeah, so to me, that's the way I transition the most, because when you swap the bass, it really starts driving the new track forward. So this is how you can do that.
Hump in your back and say, hey. Put a hump in your back and say,
this is the way I do it. And then I'll show you guys another way to do it.
Hump in your back and say, hey. Put a hump in your back
Cut the
and
low.
say, hey.
And then bring this one.
Put a hump in your back and say, hey. Put a hump in your back and say, hey. Said she tired, little money, need a big boy. Pull up 20.
So on a mixer, all I would need to do is get the crossfader, and since I on a crossfader I have my sensitivity to be like the most sensitive it can. So even if the crossfader is like right here, you know what I mean, just a little bit, it'll be playing at full volume. So what I'll do is like I'll have it like that, and as the tracks are playing, okay, so yeah, I'll have it right here.
Put a hump in your back and say, put a hump in your back and say,
Just low.
put a hump in your back and say,
And now the wow would be driving the record. So, but I would just cut it right here.
money, need a big boy. Pull a 20-inch blade.
You know what I'm saying? So you could do it that way, or you can fade it in slowly. Or you could just drop. Oh, remember, this is what we were talking with Tony. You could just drop it at halfway point.
Put a hole, bring it back and say, hey, hey.
You know what I'm saying?
Put a hole, bring it back.
So yeah, you can. There's
Instead of playing like a full 16 bar,
exactly,
and it's gonna make it.
exactly. Just makes it faster. So personally, I like doing the halfway point a little bit more, because if we're doing it at the hook, then it lets the crowd enjoy the like at least the first half of the hook, and then you.
Instead of like slamming it.
Yeah, exactly. And then once they hear this is all as much as they really need to hear, you know, of the next song, and then it'll hit. So that's why, like, if you like when you're playing with people, or like some people say like, oh, I always know what the DJ is gonna play next, you know, it's because like, well, yeah, like I'm like previewing it, you know what I mean, but before basically. So yeah, that's mainly EQing when you're transitioning, at least with the bass swap. But in most situations too, I also add the mid. I'll start bringing down the mid along with the bass that's already low, so that it's more of a smoother fade out.
All the skinny girls that Bruce hit it, better player cut tonight. Damn right, I just shook my wife. You my stuff for life. You know, all I do is make that money. I won't charge you as long as you shake that money.
So by the halfway point is when I want the bass all the way over here on this side, and then slowly bring down this mid.
Says she tired of money, need a big boy. Pull a 20.
Be like at the half point. I mean, like half.
Half of the half point, you mean?
Yeah,
Half of the half point, or you mean
like half when you're bringing it down.
so you mean, let me so tell me one. So by the time we're at this half, the low's already out. So about right there. Yeah, not all of it. Yeah, you don't need to do all of it. If you do all of
Just
it,
a little, right?
yeah, you know what I mean? Like just like about half
Yeah.
half of the half of the half point going down, cutting it. Yeah, like right at that angle. I usually I don't mess with the high as much. You don't really need to, I feel. If you're mixing like house music, you know, stuff where you're kind of just where the beat's grooving a little bit harder, you can mess with the highs. It'd be cool. What's cool to kind of mess with highs is like, say you're throwing an acapella over a record.
And then make it pop on.
It makes it pop out more. Or you can make it sound muffled for a certain reason. So look, this is a way that I use EQ too. Perfect record with this, the Scots. Or did this on the radio a lot.
Boy, he make him big. It's like Cleveland boy, he dominate the way. Hey, headed for somewhere to go. Anyone send him on these. Don't know where to go. Gotta keep giving them heat. Let's go.
So I would drop it right there, but what I would do, I'll mainly use the filter, but that's basically cutting out the highs. So it's like this. I would use this filter. And so I would cut out the low on this one. And so when this dropped, it would just sound like I had drums coming from the Forgot About Dre.
Let's go. Y'all know me, still the same OG, but I've been low key. Known by most.
So those are like just little tricks, little interesting things that you can do, playing with the bass, with the rhythms, of the songs that you're transitioning. Kind of like this too.
Let's go! Snap your fingers, do your step. You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Hey! Let me see you do it. Hey! Snap your fingers, do your step. You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Hey!
So I would start.
Let me see you do it. Hey! Snap your fingers, then rock with it. Do it, don't drop with it. Do a step with it, put your hips with it. All my ladies, let me see you put it. Working on a weekend like usual.
It's just like the creative.
Yeah, it's basically like this EQ stuff. They use it a lot when they're making the records. So it's kind of like you're getting into like the producing type of like little creative stuff. Where like you hear something else.
Like Tom play.
Yeah, exactly. Like tone play. So this is stuff that you can do live. And to me, I find when I kind of start playing with this stuff, that's when you start getting ideas for songs and remixes and stuff. And I think that's why DJs are just very fond of remixing stuff, because we play so much music, but then you get to a point where like, oh, I hear it like this, because at the end of the day, as a DJ, you're manipulating the music, So then you start thinking like, oh, well, I could mash up these two songs. I could put this acapella over that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's like using EQ to transition. Number 3 on the Rock the Dance Floor book, it says that another way you can use EQ is to EQ the room. Um, this would be so like more about like the EQ on a mix board or something like that. You don't need to worry about EQ. I mean, you don't want to do that because you're a DJ, you're not like the audio engineer. But you are gonna have to play that part when you're running events, when you're at a club or something like that. So there might be you might and I'd say you're at a club and like the speakers sound very muffled. Maybe they could be an old system, something like that. You can go to their mix board and okay, let's turn up the highs a little bit to give it some more clarity, or maybe the it sounds too boomy, it's too like boxy. Then okay, let's put down the mids, or maybe there's not enough bass. You know what I mean? Turn up the low end a little bit. So the EQ is basically messing with the frequencies of all the songs, right? Um, See, the point with EQ is that you have to trust your ears. Very true. So there's no hollowed setting that you're not allowed to change. If it sounds bad, it is. So use your EQ as your first line of assistance in sorting that out. Don't be scared to EQ creatively, changing tracks so they sound far different to the way they were made if it works for you. The tracks are your tools, and you're free to use them how you like in pursuit of creativity. So yeah, that's exactly what we're just talking about. The filter, yeah, like the filter, I think is a really good tool. It wasn't so popular before, like in like other mixers and stuff, but I've been noticing that they've been including a filter knob in like all the newer mixers. I think because the style of DJing, at least right now, has gotten to be like a lot faster, and it's just a quicker way to just mess with all the EQs instead of having to touch each one. You know what I mean? So a filter, I mean, I just showed you guys examples how you can use it. That's mainly what I do. Like I could bring in some drums filtered. I'll do something like this too. Check it out. Playing the drums. So I'll like filter this out here. So it sounds like it's a light beat. And then if you find these tracks that have those empty pockets, so
till I got it jumping at the crib.
So there's gonna be no drum break.
I mean, I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk, but I'm both right now. Got me talking about my life. I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk, but I'm both right now. I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk, but I'm both right now, and I need you in my life. I don't usually do this unless I'm drunk, but I'm both right now. She's in love with who I am.
You know, so what I really like the filter because when you filter it down to the lows, it like the beat, like the kick and the sub are just knocking. You know, and they use this effect in producing records a lot too. If you guys ever listen to instrumentals, they'll filter the drums. So using the filter can be like a creative way to either mix in a track or mix it out too.
For Sycamore, where would you exit out?
Okay, check it out. So
Then I have a problem mixing that sound out.
this is how I do it. That comes with like kind of just see it's dope that you at least can pick that up and be like, okay, whenever I'm mixing out of sicko mode, I have to be just a little more alert. I gotta get my charger. I have to be more like alert to make sure I drop it in at the right time. That's what we were talking about yesterday, Tony. Like you just have to know some songs you just have to know. So what I would do at the end, this last verse, it's a 4 bars or 8 bars, you know. So just mix it in at the half.
Yeah, we back on the road, they jumping off no parachute. Yeah, shorty in the back, she say she working on the blues. Yeah, by the book, yeah, this how it look. Yeah, by the check, yeah, just check the foots. Yeah, pass this to my daughter, I'ma show her what it took. Baby mama couple Forbes, got these other. Let's show snapping fingers, do your style. You can do it all by yourself.
With sicko mode, I never play the other version. I mean, I'm not hating on it. I don't know. I think but to me, the best part is this one. You know, so that's when I play sicko mode. That's how I do it. So I just prepare myself to transition like that. So sometimes you just gotta like find the timings, and just count. You know, so say like, damn, okay, there's no hook out or whatever. You can just
no parachute, yeah. Shorty in the back, she say she working on the blues, yeah. Ain't by the book, yeah. This how it look, yeah. By the check, yeah. Just check the foots, yeah. Pass this to my daughter, I'ma show her what it took. Baby mama couple Forbes, got these other shook, yeah.
And then you know, okay, that's half of, you know, and it could be anything. I don't know that's something in my head, but it could be any of them. Not like as long as you know, like okay, it's 8 bars or 16 bars. I mean, 4. I don't know. Depends on how you see it. You know what I mean? Because you could either be counting with tempos like this. You can either be counting it at double time, or at the tempo that it's labeled as.
No parachute, yeah. Shorty in the back, she say she working on the blues, yeah. And by the book, yeah. This how it look, yeah. By the check, yeah. Just check the foots, yeah. Pass this to my daughter, I'ma show her what it took. Baby mama couple Forbes, got these other working on the weekend like usual.
Oh, okay. See, I know that's like a new popular thing with songs now.
Yeah, like they just changed the whole beat.
Mm-hmm. What I do is I have this Drake only edit. Let me get my charger. Yeah, with Life is Good, I have this Drake only edit.
Yeah.
And it basically only plays Drake's part. So I don't worry about that transition. But you'll kind of notice, you know, as far as not having the beats matched up to transition, like say doing this tempo transition. Obviously, so it's labeled at 98 because that's the tempo that the record starts at. So then it changes, you know? And it's still saying 98. So what I do, and on turntables, you're going to have to babysit it a little bit. But it's at 82. Let's see, we can go into... what I do, so say you had to mix it in at 100, or let's say 102. So now look at the So what you're doing is you're adding 4. I don't know what this is exactly. I mean, it's the BPM, but you're adding +4, right? You're making it 4 clicks faster. So if you know that you're going to 82, that means that it's going to be playing at 86 now.
So we have to bring up the next track.
So then you bring this one up to 86. Okay, so you're gonna have to babysit a little bit.
I don't follow rules and they don't like that. I was keeping.
So just basic math. So yeah, you just add them up a little bit. But if you have the time when you're doing this, and mix it something like that, you don't need to be too fast. What I would do, I'll bring in this one, and I'll have a cue point right here. Okay, so then when that's playing, and then I'll load up this one. Take that one off. And now I'm at I see 81 over here. You hear me? And I just so now I don't need to worry about doing the math and stuff, and I can bring in whatever record, and it's gonna be like normal. You know what I'm saying? So that's if you have. I mean, sometimes either you're trying to mix like really fast, and you want to like you only want to play the hook.
Yeah.
You won't really have the time to like, okay, let me drop this and stuff. Yeah. Let me put the original in. So then you can just do the math real quick. But yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Plus 86 plus 4. I don't have that many toes, man. Yeah. All right. So filter. Yeah, we're talking about the filter. Think of a filter as a one knob EQ. Yep. Added with the swoop. One knob filter controls have a center point where they're turned off, and they're normally a little click to let you know when everything's in the middle. Yeah, you feel the click. Let's see what differentiates filters from the EQ controls, apart from there being only one knob, is that they have a musical resonance, the swoop quality. That's true. In short, they sound awesome and are used an awful lot in recording studios to introduce and remove elements from tracks, particularly breakdowns and builds. Because the filter is a sound so often used in dance music production, having it at your fingertips when mixing is a powerful thing as people enjoy it, accept it, and won't automatically think you're doing it. Yeah. So another thing with the filter, that's the knob that a lot of DJs use whenever they're gonna talk. They're gonna say something. Yo, big shout out to Ruben for his birthday, popping bottles tonight. All my single ladies, make some noise. You know, so instead of like, well, you could do this too, but yo, big shout out Ruben, make some noise. Yeah, I guess you know what I mean. It's, just muffle it, yeah. Take off the vocals in a sense, just let it bump. So that's another really good way to use the filter for when you MC. All right, so now, do you guys have any questions as far as EQ in the mix and transitioning? Pretty simple, you know what I mean? Mainly the lows are the main ones, mid as well. Highs, I usually just leave them alone, and the filter. Cool. All right, now effects. Okay. So, do you guys know? Are you guys familiar with the effects on Serato? No. Okay. Delay. So, This is a very popular. Well, mainly the echo out is popular, but delay. Well, echo out is a version of delay. But what? So it basically stutters the beat at the point that you drop it in. But what it doesn't do is it like the echo out. It'll slowly like the delay. I don't know how to explain it. So the delay is like it'll hold it. Yeah, it'll keep the same volume and stuff. The echo out will like slowly fade it away and like see that like it slowly phase it out like that. But if we do the delay, it'll keep playing the record, but it's just giving it the stutter delay. Yeah, the double in the clap. Yeah. So that's why what mostly everybody's familiar with is the echo out. So you can use this. Like say you need to go from one tempo to another. That's what I would say. Like if you don't have a transition up to go to a different tempo, use the filter with an echo out, and it's the smoothest possible way you can do it. I mean, obviously it's gonna sound like it's not gonna sound smooth as possible, but it's the cleanest possible way.
Different types of them.
Effects.
So, like, for instance, like I know you're talking about the echo out, and then what's the? I'm just gonna throw one out there. What is the tape echo?
Tape. Let's see. With the effects, at least with what I have here on my Serato, it might be different because they give you different packs. Yeah, different packs and stuff. You can buy more effects, but the tape one I don't have that. So yeah, you might have I feel like it's like this one. I think it's this one, break echo, similar to this one. So that's what it does. So it like it breaks. It breaks. So a break in in turntable terms is like when you hit stop. Doesn't it sound like that? Like if you're stopping the record. So that's what in terms of like turntables, like a break. Like if you're hitting the brakes is when you just hit stop.
I feel like people use that. They don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. On the S9 they have an effect like that. So I think that's what the tape is probably like. But yeah, all the effects they have their own characteristics. So this is phaser is cool when you're like transitioning to because it'll. That's a phaser. It I don't know, make it sound kind of wavy or something. Flanger's very similar to a phaser. I think it's better. Mm-hmm. The phaser kind of like muffles it more. Yeah. This one gives it more of a. Just gives it like that, like a more whirly effect. Yeah, so I mean, you guys can play with all the effects and stuff because I mean I don't even know what I'll see. Transform scratch. I think. I don't know what that does. Anyway, here the effects that you guys need to mainly I would say worry about with when if you want to mix clean are the flanger, the echo out, and the reverb. Reverb, what it does, it's an effect that basically puts that sound in a room, like a big room, like a church or like a warehouse or something with a lot of like echo and reflections. So
Switching lanes and I'm seeing lights.
see how like it sounds like it was in a room? Yeah, like if you clapped, you know. But it's like if there was a DJ playing in this big ass warehouse and it was empty, and you like barely walked in, and the DJ's all the way over there, another, and then you walk closer. Okay. So the reverb you could use at the very end when you're mixing. So let's get another track here. There we go. You can use the reverb.
Let's go. No masterpiece. Hey. 10 bad.
So obviously it's a little bit tougher because I'm just doing it with the mouse and stuff. But if you bring in the reverb as you're turning down the lows and the mids, it'll kind of sound like a little echo out. It'll sound like a space out. It'll be gradual and it'll just be like a like if it disappeared into the warehouse or into the darkness type of thing, you know, kind of like that. And so that's what reverb, and we already went over the echo out and we went over the flanger. So those are the effects, but now another big thing that you guys have to pay attention to is this right here. So
that's the one that says beats, right?
mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. So this is what determines how fast or like at what the timing of the effect on the song. So you could hear it mainly with let's do it with the flanger actually. So if we're doing it at one beat, right? That means that in one beat the flanger is gonna do a full cycle. Okay, so in one beat in this terms is that's one. Yeah. Okay. See, so every beat, the flanger basically starts over. So here's. See how the high part? Here. Now, if we do it at half, it's gonna be like. It's gonna halftime it. Quarter, it'd be even half of that. You see that effect? I think it'd be better with an acapella.
Oh yes, you are not rocking with the best. Oh yes, you are not rocking with the best. Oh yes, you are not rocking with the.
So you guys hear that?
Yeah.
So and that's the same with most of them. So like with the phaser, you'll be able to hear that effect too. So.
Oh yes, you are not rocking with the best. Oh yes, you are not rocking with the best. Oh yes.
So now it's faster.
You are not rocking with the best. Oh yes.
You can really hear it with the echo, because this determines how fast it echoes out. So here's one.
Oh yes, yeah. You are oh yes.
That's one beat. We're gonna do half now. So now you hear something like yeah. Oh, try it again. A little faster. We're gonna cut it even half of that. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of just is determined, which one you use is determined on your own taste. You know how fast you want it to echo out. You might change it between songs. It doesn't have to stay stagnant at one. You know, as you're DJing and stuff, you can be like, I know that this track, this is like a transition that I like to use the echo out with. I'll keep it at half, a quarter. So usually I keep it at half.
For echo?
For echo, yeah, usually. For this one specifically, I like to.
You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it.
Like that. But if we have a song, because of that A, you know what I mean?
Let's go! Snap your fingers, do your step. You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it.
Okay, here we go.
Let me see
you
you
use
do
the
it.
echo out effect.
Hey, snap your fingers, do your step. You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. I don't follow rules and they don't like that.
So you know that's the way I like it with that. But you can at the same time, let's try it with the half. The half would just be a slower stutter.
Let's go! Snap your fingers, do your step. You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. Hey, snap your fingers, do your step. You can do it all by yourself. Let me see you do it. Let me see you do it. I don't follow rules and they don't like that. I was.
It had a bigger tail, right? It tailed more into the new track. Yeah, well, mhm. Usually on the S9 you could affect that a little bit so it'll last a little bit longer. On this, it's just this is the way it is, I guess. Oh, like these are banks, I think. I don't know. Oh no, these are the banks. I don't know what this is here, but yeah. So it just depends on your preference when it comes to like the echo out, or like if you want to use a phaser, or when it comes to the beats, how fast it affects. But I mean, that's an example of how you use the echo out. I'm sure you guys hear that a lot on radio because it's a good way to make a clean transition. You know. Hmm. In a Serato, you can have three effects going on at once. Starting out, I was never really a big fan of the effects because I didn't like to rely on them because back then, I mean, the standard mixers were always kind of, and they still are like now in clubs, it's always kind of different. So if you can like rely on the way you mix with the EQs only and the filter, and you can mix well with that, then once you start adding your effects, you're gonna be like even better. But make sure you can mix well with just EQs, and then adding effects is only gonna make you more smooth and make your transitions cleaner. So don't try to rely too much on effects. Um, use them by all means. They're tools. They're there for you to use. Yeah, don't rely on to personally because, like I said, I think you'll be more prepared. Like what we were talking about the turntable stuff earlier. You know, coming from turntables to DJ on a controller is a lot easier than the other way around. So you just want to be prepared by having the skills to, work the original way, and then that way it'll be easier for you whenever you go anywhere. So as long as you have your EQ transitioning down and then start throwing in some effects, you're just gonna be even better. but definitely use them. I'm not saying don't use them at all.
When you were DJing at Citadel, were you using? I noticed that you weren't using effects. You were just using EQs.
Yeah, yeah, because I see and see that's at the Citadel we had a rain mixer,
Yeah.
which is a great mixer with effects, but I'm just not too familiar to like
Yeah.
maneuver through
Very
them.
confusing.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with the S9, so that's why it's like okay, I'm just not going to use effects here, but I was able to mix fine just because for a long time, because I had the 57, I had a Rain 57, and that one I had effects, but I never used them, so I just for like years I just transitioned and with no effects at all, Okay, the sweep effects, those are like the phasers and stuff. Rhythm effects, delay. Okay, look, delay is the king here. The echoing into the distant sound. Echo is similar, although often it has a grainier feel to it as it's based on an old-fashioned tape echo effect units, where the incoming sound was physically recorded onto the tape in order to be reintroduced into the mix. So yeah, so I think the tape word is just a little more old school, but it's the same thing. Nowadays, it's easy to tie the timing of the echoing sounds into the beats or bars so they occur in time with the music. They sound great on vocals, especially acapellas. Yeah, so that's why like with this one with the A, it just fit nicely. Whether you're playing with your effects and you practice, trying working out which group the effect you're auditioning belongs to. Bearing in mind it is possible to add a cyclical rhythmic element to the sweep effects on many DJ systems. Remember the golden rule: less is more. Also, remember to be aware of whether you're complementing what's already in the tracks you're adding to effects to, or adding something completely new. If you're adding something completely new, be extra careful that it actually makes things sound better. If not, don't do it. Yeah, very true. And that's I was at the beginning. I wasn't really a fan of effects because I was just like, dude, just mix it properly or something. Because some DJs, I don't know, I don't even know why they have these effects in here sometimes, but
Don't drop with it. Do a step
like,
with
who
it.
wants to make their
Put
song
your
sound like
hips with
that?
it. All my
Big
ladies,
pressure.
let me see you put a twist with it. You think you been like me?
You know what I mean? So don't, you know what I mean? Like, just because it's there and it's an effect, it doesn't mean it's gonna help you. It's just some tool there, or it's just like
Like an
something.
edit you want to use.
Yeah, So like, just make sure it sounds good, or you're using them properly. Don't overuse them either. Mainly use them just to transition out because, and this is when you're playing live to people. If I'm listening to my favorite song, if I'm listening to like, I don't really want to hear it like that. Like, let the damn song go. Now, if you're doing it creatively when you transition, see, I would kind of mess with it like this. I would mess with the what? And turn it off. If I were to even be doing that, if I'm just feeling like I want to mess with my mixer a little bit, I would do that. But mainly, I would just Mhm. Yeah, I don't like that's my personal way of DJing. Um, or like when DJs are like scratching too much over a record, it's like, hey, dude, like if you're at home, scratch all you want, practice. You know what I
But
mean?
when you're doing it live,
Yeah,
like
some
at a
people want to.
wedding, I don't think they're going to be wanting to hear someone scratching.
Yeah, they don't
Like,
want to
if
hear
it's
all
like-
that.
You can scratch, but like don't do it too much, right?
It gets annoying.
Like it's not like a competition,
Exactly. Or even when people are like hitting this stuff too much, like, dude, like, shut up. You know what I mean?
That used to be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, the classic. This one, I think, right? Yes, yeah, I have it too. It's if you're at a club and you're headlining, man, and you're killing it, by all means, boom, you know what I mean?
How about the alarm one, the other one?
Oh, I see.
The one that goes,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't think I have it on here, but
well, you know which one I mean.
yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, so The same thing, like, so the same thing with like these sample sounds, so it goes with effects. You know what I mean? Use them tastefully, use them creatively, use them when they're needed. Don't overdo it because then it's just gonna be annoying. Yeah,
I feel like you should only use that when it's like a good moment.
yeah.
Like when you're gonna get like a shout out, you use that. Like,
Mhm.
oh, shout out him.
Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. You know what I mean? That's it.
Because there is like some DJs that, like on the radio, they're like using it too much.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that means too much plugins.
Yeah, yeah. See, and that's the thing. Like, I understand, but sometimes when you're using, it's good to use them because, in a sense, since it gives it that differentiality in the song, people say like, "Oh, there's a DJ playing,"
Yeah.
as opposed to either somebody just playing a song off their phone, or like if they're on the radio, it's like, okay, you know, because you know how the radio plays songs sometimes just with no DJ.
Yeah.
When you hear little sound effects like that, you're like, oh, somebody's mixing.
Yeah.
So that's why on radio they kind of use them a lot, but at the same time, still, it's like some dudes use it way too much, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
like on Power One stuff, when Corinne was doing it, like she does like the
Rizzo?
yeah,
Oh yeah.
like she does like the breaking glass and then like the horn and then like the DJ sound.
All
I
right.
always listen to 96.3 Mega.
Hmm.
And then what's his name? Lenny G. He does like his own mixer and he does like his own sounds and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, use it tastefully. If you have your own, if you make your own sounds,
Yeah.
it can like give you that identity, But at the same time,
Be creative.
yeah, be creative and don't use them too much and stuff. Every DJ's, hey man, like I said, every DJ there's no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
That's just the way what I think. You know what I'm saying? I think it's good. Like I think some of the Power 106 guys have like
Precise.
the air. Yeah, see, like he has his
Oh,
sound.
It's the
The
airtime in the car.
yeah, exactly, like the Jerry. So like that's all good stuff, and that way like, oh, that's I think it's just incredible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's good to have that. Just use it tastefully. If you're, like I said, on the radio, it's good, but when you're live, it'll get kind of annoying. If people trying to dance, people trying to enjoy their favorite song or something like that. All right. So I mean, the last thing I would just want to talk about, at least with the mixing. So we talked about the EQ and the effects is just using your headphones. Um, I mean, I can't really like show that here, but your headphones are mainly just a monitor.
Yeah, they're just there to for like how can I say it? So pretty much you're using headphones to like listen to the next track, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
So
then, like to know like when you're gonna bring it in and all that stuff.
mhm. Say you need to set certain cues, or you need to see where the track comes in, where the vocals come in, or something like that. It's just a monitor for you. So, but you take headphones to every gig. I've noticed that if you don't take headphones to a gig and you try to mix that way, I'm sure you can get through the night, but you're not going to be able to be as fast. You're not going to be able to be as creative because, when you're mixing records and you don't know if they sound good together, having the headphones is just very helpful because you'll hear like, oh, like, these kicks don't go together, or, these vocals clash or
Or when
something
you
like
like
that.
download a new track before the gig when you don't know it.
Exactly. Yeah,
You wanna pre-play all that kind of stuff.
So always have headphones, monitor your stuff. Sometimes you might even need to, like, if the speakers are set up way too far away from you, you might just have to mix with your headphones completely on, So it's just always good to have headphones. I would say get the DJ ones, because what they're specialized for are to like cut out all sound from outside, and you need that when you're like in a booth that has like loud monitors, or just a club in general. You know what I mean? When you put it up to your ear, you want to like actually be able to hear the song. And so if you have like normal headphones, you might get a lot of bleed from the outside, and you might not be able to hear the kick, and you're gonna turn it up, but then you're gonna start blaring your headphones. So just get good DJ headphones.
Which one's like the DDJs, right?
The Pioneer DDJs. Those are the ones that I have.
The Guitar Center.
Yeah.
They always have good ones.
Yeah. Headphones also you can use as a microphone. Have you guys seen that?
No.
Yeah, this is always totally to me. It's like a backup plan. If you don't have a mic, you forgot your mic, whatever the case is, and you need to make an announcement or something like that, and it's usually the DJ ones. Not every pair of headphones can do this, but if you plug in your headphones into your microphone input and you talk into the headphone, it'll be a mic. It sounds like pretty shitty, but it's something. You hear what I mean? If for whatever reason.
So you have to put in the microphone.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
I saw like sorry to cut you off. But last week was it last week when you went live? You brought a mic, no?
Yeah.
How much was it?
Mhm.
It was it's two ones.
Oh,
Um,
I was like, nice. That's pretty cool. So,
Okay, let's see. And then okay, yeah. So, and then now we're gonna go into talking about you guys's mixtape. So, yeah, any more questions on EQ, effects, headphones?
it's pretty solid.
Good. Okay. Then I'm gonna end this here.